But everybody doing all right today?
Yeah.
Yeah. The Taurus, why you hiding your face?
Out of my face. Oh. There. Since you want to get a clear view.
Definitely. Yeah. First off, before we go any further, today is somebody's birthday. Got that blurred up background. Just turned 16.
Oh my goodness. Happy birthday.
And I thought it was me.
Your birthday coming up.
Thank you.
Wait, who's 16?
No, I'm just playing Destiny birthday today, plus 30. Destiny Jermaine birthday today.
I was wondering, like, who is 16?
The song, Destiny, you know your song? I'm just playing. But no, so happy birthday to Jermaine.
Happy birthday.
Happy birthday.
I was gonna put in the group chat. I jumped out of cake naked last night for her.
Oh, did she cover it back up?
She threw some cupcakes at me. But once again, I am the only guy here. I think I'm about to relish that role. I guess that's how it's supposed to be. Michael said he's gonna be here, so he should be here in a little bit. Before we get started, go ahead and get prayer in. Like we usually do. Hallelujah, Father. Thank you for allowing us to come here in your presence. It's always a privilege it's always a privilege to be here. We did nothing to be here. It's just purely and solely off your favor. We ask you to continue to guide us, to keep your hand on us, to keep our hearts and our minds set on your word, so that it be the light for our path, so we know exactly where to go and how to conduct ourselves once we get there. I ask you to bless everybody here on this chat and help everybody here get something out of the lesson that you are allowing us to go through today. I ask you to bless those who couldn't be here. All these things we ask your son, Yahushua, our King, our high priest's name. Hallelujah. Amen. Michael said he keep trying to click this link. I don't know exactly what it's doing. Let me see.
Mine didn't work. I had to go into Zoom and it showed like your meeting ID history. I just clicked on the first one.
That's what I did, but I couldn't get into Messenger on the laptop, so I just went through Zoom.
What happened when y'all was clicking on it? Just wasn't popular or anything?
It was saying like it wasn't supported or something.
Tell him to go through the Zoom, his history, and try to click it that way. Let me see what it. No, I'm leaving. I was doing when it seems to be working.
I told him to go right into Zoom and see how that'll do. But yeah, he should be here in a minute, hopefully. But I am gonna share the. You went back out and tried to use the link again?
I'm saying I just clicked it from my phone and it worked, but I'm saying I just couldn't get. I couldn't get on Messenger for some reason on the laptop, so I just went through Zoom.
I posted a screenshot in the group chat is what it looked like when I try to tap the link through Messenger.
Okay.
Oh. It may just be a browser issue. He probably has to go through Google or something.
Well, but we'll figure it out. Before we get started, Mike, got anything they want to give thanks for?
I'm thankful for another year. Glad to be here today and days before, and just really thankful for today. Nothing really special because I know that it can be worse. I can be not here and y'all can be saying how much y'all miss me. But I'm just I'm thankful. I'm just thankful.
It's what's been the insurance money. What you talking about? No, I'm grateful to be alive too. I'm happy to be here with y'all. Thank the Most High for everything, for favor, for the ability to be obedient even if you don't understand. Can't remember who I was talking. It might have been me, Jermaine. I was talking to somebody, and I said that obedience to the Most High is more important than understanding. We know obedience is better than sacrifice, but it's also better than understanding. Like, we don't always understand what the Most High got going on, but it's better to be obedient. We know it's countless stories in the scriptures and things like that where the Most High sent his people into what was seen to be dire circumstances. Something to come to mind, we almost up on Passover, where he sent Moses to talk to the Pharaoh. I remember when Moses went to the Pharaoh, he was just coming back into Egypt. He had been on the run for being a murderer. So now you done popped up in a burning bush, a bush that's on fire, but it's not being consumed. And he told me to go in here and talk to the Pharaoh. Anybody know what Pharaoh means?
Like a king.
That's exactly what it is. So now you telling me somebody who don't have no standing in this city or this community and still go here and talk to the most powerful man in Egypt, who can just chop my head off right here, right now, and tell him, look, we leaving. So the Most High is more powerful than anything on this earth, any system, any king, any whatever. And it's always something to be cognizant of and to be mindful of. That no matter what, you won't always understand what you're going through. But if you just believe in him, he asked me what's the meeting ID. If you believe in him, he always gonna sustain. He gonna guide you. He gonna make sure that you, whatever's supposed to happen, is gonna happen as he see fit. Hey, anybody familiar with the meeting ID?
It's that number. It's the 884632178 that's in the link.
All right. But as I was saying, the Most High in control of everything. And and we're gonna see something about that tie into this when we go to Mark 21. But it just the thing we always gotta remember that the Most High don't work for us, we work for him. So that what I mean when I say that is he's not gonna do everything when we want him to or how we would like for him to do it. But it's always righteous. Like, we can never question his righteousness. We can have thoughts, we can wonder, but that's the natural human aspect or the reaction to it. But he's always in control of everything. The most thing we can do is control our emotions and our feelings to the best of our abilities. So it's a blessing to be here, sitting up here meeting with y'all. And then again, it's a blessing that Jameen had a birthday.
Yes.
It's unfortunate that she looked so young and I look so much older than her. She older than me, but it's a blessing to have her as my woman, and I enjoy everything except the snoring. But when she's snoring, it let me know she's alive. I never heard a dead person snore, so I could take that as a consolation. But I do want to touch up on something. I want to ask y'all a question. Do y'all think celebrating birthdays is pagan?
No.
I didn't think so.
I ain't
Because
think so, but
what that would mean, like, what deity would it be? Like, every day is their day? Because every day is somebody's birthday.
right.
Where did the concept of celebrating birthdays come from?
I don't know. I was just born into this.
It comes from it comes from like when they give Jesus his birthday. And most of the time, well, you could say it's pagan. To me, to celebrate it, but it's still our birthday because it was the what you really supposed to celebrate, or what it say, if I'm saying it right, it's the memorial, or what we do, for the Jewish holiday and stuff. Most would say that it's pagan to celebrate it. I'm
That's
not
what
saying that
it is.
I'm not saying that it is, you know what I'm saying, but that's
Out of all the holidays and stuff, or the feast to give up, the hardest one is one that comes around yourself. Ain't it? That's the one. It's me. It's no.
Well, I think of it like it's,
Go
I
ahead.
don't know if it's hard to give up or like because it's my birthday, right? But it's like,
yeah.
my question is, how is it pagan when Yahuwah created this day for? We're here because of him.
Yahuwah created everything.
hmm But we're supposed to celebrate him. I mean, I guess when it's your birthday, you do look to him because, like you say, it's your birthday and you thankful that it is your birthday, but
It's still because of him.
it should be on, you know what I'm saying? He should be the one that stuff, giving thanks and stuff, which I understand, and still we still say it's my birthday. It's something happy about your birthday.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So I'm not saying that it's an in between. Maybe people say it is pagan to celebrate it with your balloons and your this and that.
And
I
the
can see that.
cakes and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And then I definitely get the pagan part because with birthday comes the zodiac signs and it ties in.
They do everything. You know what I'm saying? They do their liquor, they dance, they play the different type of music and stuff, and it's still not celebrating Yahuwah to the extent that you do, but you are grateful and thankful that you here, because if it wasn't for him, you wouldn't be here.
Yeah.
That's the way I see it. But I don't know everything, and I sure don't.
No,
But
nobody on this chat know everything. We all
yeah,
searching and seeking out knowledge.
yes.
I asked that question though, just to see what y'all think. Celebrating the birthday, I don't believe it's pagan. It's not pagan, but it's a lot of vanity that can come in between. Like you make the focus about yourself as opposed to giving thanks to the Most High for sustaining you for another year. What it is, the rituals though that come around to it. Hold on. He don't have an account. Do it ask y'all to log in?
So he doesn't have the app
Hold on.
because it's just download Zoom.
Right.
We got to sign in though. But what it is, it's the rituals, like the candles.
Yes.
So those are things, or even the cake itself is not pagan because it's just food. But in certain cultures, particularly the Egyptian culture, they will use these things to venerate their deities and things like that. To acknowledge your birthday in the context of being thankful to Yahuwah is definitely not pagan, or if you don't indulge in the pagan rituals. If anybody remember any Destiny birthday parties, she don't blow out cakes. Have you ever blown out a candle on your own cake?
Yep.
I'm talking about Desi. On Desi.
Oh, I'm sorry.
No,
Oh, no, you good, you good. I'm looking dead at her and stuff, wait for her to unmute. That's how come. Have you ever blew out any candles?
not in a long time now.
You never blew out no candles. But anyway, on my watch. But
She blowing out somebody else's candles like she do.
sneaky. That was always the baddest child at the party. Don't blow the candle. But the thing is, like, say for instance, weddings. A wedding, we know that's not pagan, but there are pagan rituals that go into weddings, namely a wedding ring. And what it is, it comes from these cultures in the way it's not pagan to have a ring. It's not pagan to have cake. It's not pagan to have candles. But it is if you do it in conjunction with how these people worship their deities.
Yes.
I just wanted to touch upon that. When we do celebrate births, let's just make sure that we mindful that we didn't create ourselves, and we give all the esteem to Yahuwah for allowing us to be here. Then you go out later on and turn water into wine. But I do want to have a great study today. And remember when I asked in the study or the group chat what was Sodom and Gomorrah sin? I remember that. And we came to the conclusion of what, Bubs?
They basically they had started like honoring other deities. They put like when he say they was a whore, they whored themselves out.
Who Sodom
That
and
they was
Gomorrah?
yeah. That's
I
what it
threw,
was. Oh no, it was the how they treated the poor. What hold on.
I showed
What
that
was
I
that
threw
verse?
Buzz alley because I was so excited about. I said, "Buzz got it, Buzz." She got it in the chat. I
Oh,
said,
because that was all through the whole chapter was that they hoard themselves out. But at the end of the day, it was they was rich and they like instead of like helping other people, they was mean. They made it worse.
What made me think about it is
we know that we're not gonna go back into Genesis. We know that the Most High came down and he talked to Abraham, and they said that, shoot, we made this promise to Abraham, so let's just tell him what we about to do. Now, just pause and think about that. If y'all want to read this in context, it's in Genesis. Off top, it's just a story of Sodom and Gomorrah. I can't remember the exact address, but we know that this is favor right here, where he like Abraham, or he loved Abraham so much, he said, before we go down here, we're gonna go tell him. Now that's incredible. When you just read this, sometimes you'll gloss over it. But can y'all imagine if y'all sitting here and then you hear somebody say, "Hey, you know who said that?" He say, "I'm about to go over here and destroy Kokomo. They over here acting wicked." You're like, "Man, that's pretty cool." He told me, "Oh, I got a nephew in Kokomo. Hey, man, listen, can you just save it for the sake of, you know what I'm saying?" And that's exactly what happened. He started praying for Lot. Now, remember, they was marked for destruction before they actually got there. It's always misinterpreted or misstated that they got destroyed for homosexuality. Homosexuality is an abomination and is damnable by death. But homosexuality wasn't just regulated or just there in Sodom and Gomorrah. It was in other nations too. Some you said, Buzz, when you said they played the whore, I think you start mixing up, because in that whole chapter, Ezekiel 16, he's talking to Israel, but he's talking about what Sodom did also. And he's comparing. There you go. Look at that new pappy. That new pappy for the 10th time.
But I remember we talked about it before, and when I was like, besides the homosexuality, I was like the wicked things they did, and you had said like people would come and visit, and like they would like charge them extra, or like people would be starving, and they basically like, yeah.
1980s Hallville. What's up, Michael? Look at you. You look over there glowing with that new daddy face.
Yeah, he over here going off right now.
Every time I look up, you got a new dog or a new child.
Huh?
Every time I look up, you got a new dog or a new child.
Yeah, that's terrible.
You be fruitful, multiply like you supposed to. Congratulations again. We haven't got to vocalize that. We just got to say it in chat. Congratulations.
I appreciate it.
So they was doing wicked things. They was mistreating people. Something that really stand out when you look at it, that Sodom and Gomorrah wasn't the Most High's chosen nation. Can we all agree on that?
Yeah.
Do anybody have any idea why he would punish them for being wicked towards other people? Like even if they weren't part of his nation?
Because they were
being wicked towards his people,
like disobedient.
Remember, we said this. Go ahead, babe.
Like they were not like they were disobedient, and he decided, yeah, that's just wicked.
Definitely, that's exactly what happened. Who said they was being mean to his people or wicked towards his people? Anybody say that?
I did.
Okay. Remember at this particular time that he had just made the promise to Abraham, so the nation of Israel hadn't been established. At this time, Yahuwah didn't have a set people. The Genesis had started with Abraham being chosen for the lineage to go through, but he didn't have his own people. Anybody know what a universal law is?
Pertaining to everybody.
Definitely. It's not just regulated to particular nations or anything like that. Universal law.
You need to watch them.
A universal law in this context is where you treat your neighbor with respect. you don't disrespect him. And when you disrespecting your fellow person, you disrespecting human being. Yeah, I mean Yahuwah. Now this is before he set apart his own nation. So the wickedness that they was indulging in, it was brutal. Like it was other nations who had wicked things going on, but Sodom and Gomorrah's wickedness had got so strong that the cries of the people down there started reaching Yahuwah. Like everybody all the time crying and complaining about it. For context, I'm gonna pull up the book of Jasher. It's a long reading, and I'm not gonna read it all. I'm gonna read one of the instances or one of the stories of what was going on in this particular town.
What chapter?
19. And I'm gonna put it on the screen for anybody who don't have the book. It says, and what's that? Y'all ready?
Yes.
In the
Yes.
city, in the cities of Sodom had 4 judges, 4 cities, and these were their names: Sirach in the city of Sodom, Sharkad and Gomorrah, Zabnak and Adamah, and Menon and Zeboyim. And Eleazar, Abraham's servant, applied to them different names, and he converted Sirach to Shakar, Shakrad to Shakura, Zabnak to Kizobim, and Menon to Mazholden. The first 3 are different names for falsehoods. So he basically was just nicknaming them and calling them liars. This is Abraham's servant. And by
This servant is Abraham's servant is, well, that's Abraham's servant. I'm thinking about Eleazar, the priest.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I know you're talking about. Aaron's son.
Right.
And by desire of the 4 judges, the people of Sodom and Gomorrah had beds erected in the streets of the cities. And if a man came to these places, they laid a hold of him and brought him onto their beds, and by force made him to lie in them. So this is what they do. Anybody come from out of town, these 4 judges, the overrulers, they will force them to lay on these stone beds. And as he lay down, 3 men will stand on his head. And wait a minute, 3 men will stand at his head and 3 at his feet, and measure him by the length of the bed. And if the man was less than the bed, these 6 men would stretch him at each end. And when he cried out, they would not answer. That's just brutal wickedness right there. So they would take the man, 3 people would stand at the bottom of the bed and 3 at the head. And if his body didn't reach from the, let's say the footboard to the headboard, they would just stretch him and pull him until he cry out, and they would just ignore it. And that's just super wicked right there. And that's like how these lynchings used to be here, or how they are sometimes, but it's a little bit more hidden. But just the wickedness that's unexplained, it's unprovoked. Verse 5 says, and if he was longer than the bed, they would draw together toward the side of the bed at each end until each man had reached the gates of death. So they would just pull until they felt like they couldn't pull no more. And if he continued to cry out to them, they would answer him, saying, thus shall it be done to a man that come into our land. Now we know that the Most High tells us that any stranger coming amongst us, they not being disrespectful, rude or not, we treat them like they are brothers. We treat them with respect. And when the men heard these things that the people of the cities of Sodom did, they refrained from coming there. And now we not going there. They crazy. They out here just doing people super bad. Verse 8 says, when a poor man came into the land, they will give him silver and gold and cause a proclamation in the city, not to give him a morsel of bread to eat. And if the stranger should remain there some days and die for hunger, not having been able to obtain a morsel of bread, then at his death, all the people in the city would come and take their silver and gold which they had given him. This right here is like a different level of depravity, a different level of sickness. Now, when the stranger would come in, a poor person who didn't have none, no money, no resources or nothing, he would come in and they would give him gold and silver. They would give him gold and silver. But they would turn around and not sell to him. He already starved with hunger. He done got this, what we would consider money now, and he can go in here and get something, and they won't even sell it to him. And they would just sit there and just goof off until he died. Then they would come back to get their money. And those that could recognize the silver or gold which they had given him took it back, and at his death they also stripped him of his garments. And they would fight about them, and he that prevailed over his neighbor took them. They would after that carry and bury him under some of the shrubs in the desert. So they did all the days to anyone that came to them and died in their land. So these are some of the things that they would do. Like this is, and it's a community thing. It's wickedness everywhere. It was no regulators. It was nobody saying, let's stop, we shouldn't do this. So we're gonna finish up with the story of Eleazar. What happened to him? What happened to him is insane. About sense of humor is kind of funny at some particular point. And in the course of time, Sarah sent Eleazar to Sodom to see Lot and inquire after his welfare. So Sarai, or Sarah, Abraham's wife, sent their servant down to Sodom to check on Lot, which we all know is Abraham's nephew. They knew Abraham would tear up about Lot as he went to war when Lot had got abducted in a particular siege. You can find that in the book of Genesis also, and maybe even expounded here in Jasher. 12 says that Eleazar went to Sodom, and he met a man of Sodom fighting with a stranger. And the man of Sodom stripped the poor man of his clothes and went away. And this poor man cried to Eleazar and supplicated his favor on account of what the man of Sodom had done to him. So he come in there and he just Eleazar stumbled up one of these instances where one of the Sodomites is out here beating up one of the poor people. He beat him up and took all his clothes and stuff. And so the dude, he cried and complained to Eleazar to help him. Now, something right here, it's bad if you're stealing from people who got resources, but they were stealing from poor people. Like it's beating them up and stealing from them. And he said to him, why dost thou act thus to the poor man who came into thy land? So Eleazar, like, this ain't how you treat somebody. He came here to this land, so why y'all doing him like this? Something that y'all should understand, we should understand that Eleazar was a servant of Abraham. And in some translations, they treat servants as slaves, but it's a clear indication if you look into the history of Eleazar and Abraham, that they had a real righteous relationship, wasn't none of that beating crazy stuff. In fact, when Abraham didn't have a male heir before Isaac was born, he was going to give everything he had to his servant Eleazar. 15 says, and the man of Sodom answered Eleazar, saying, is this man your brother? Or the people of Sodom made thee a judge this day that thou speakest about this man? So he like, what? Why you worried? That ain't your brother. You ain't no judge. So it don't make a difference. And Eleazar strove with the man of Sodom on account of the poor man. And when Eleazar approached to recover the poor man's clothes from the man of Sodom, he hastened and with the stone smote Eleazar in the forehead. That was the funny part to me. Eleazar was like, no, we got to do something. He trying to get the clothes. Dude, pick up a rock and hit him in the head. This is what wicked is, was coming up. But now, listen, he was out here fighting for a stranger. He was out here fighting for a person he had never seen, but he seen injustice being done to him. The weakness or our people right now, we see wickedness going on, and we just start saying, get your hands off of them, and we record. You be seeing somebody get mesbit up, but I'm recording this, I'm posting this, but I'm like, man, listen, I understand you're gonna do that later, but please stop me from hitting me. And the blood flowed copiously from Eleazar's forehead, so it's free flowing, it's coming down. And when the man saw the blood, when the man saw the blood, he caught a hold of Eleazar, saying, give me my hire for having rid thee of this bad blood that was in thy forehead. For such is the custom and the law of our land. Do you understand what just happened right there?
So he told him to pay him for making him bleed?
Because you had some evil blood in your head. So
Mm.
now you was stealing somebody from somebody, beating them up. I come over here, we get to fighting because you did wrong. You pick up a rock, hit me in the head, and I bleed. And you tell me you did me a favor, now gotta pay you. Show you how wicked this is. And Eleazar said to him, thou hast wounded me and required me to pay thee for hire. And Eleazar would not hearken to the words of the man of Sodom. And the man laid hold of Eleazar and brought him to Shapra, the judge of Sodom, for judgment. So he took Eleazar to court. That's basically what he did. And the man spoke to the judge, saying, I beseech thee, my lord, thus has this man done, for I smote him with the stone, that the blood flowed from his forehead, and he is unwilling to give me my hire. So he won't even pay me. I'll just bust him in his head with this brick, and he won't pay me. And the judge said to Eleazar, this man speaketh truth to thee, give him his hire. For this is the custom of the land. And Eleazar heard the words of the judge, and he lifted up a stone and smote the judge. And the stone stuck on his forehead, and the blood flowed copiously from his forehead of the judge. And Eleazar said, if this then is the custom in your land, give thou this man what I should have given him, for this is thy decision. Thou did decree it. So,
Now you paying.
a quick rewind. The laws was wicked in this land, but these were the laws of the land, right? Had Eleazar not been in this particular land or in this particular kingdom, he wouldn't have been even in court for this situation, clearly unjust situation. His response was super funny though, and like Brenda, you just alluded to it. The judge said you got to pay him. You hit him in the head, blood flow, you got to pay him. That's how we do it here. Eleazar, quick thinking on his feet, real witty, picks up a stone, busts the judge in the head. Said, look, since I done did the same thing for you that he did for me, now you can pay him, since that's what y'all doing here. And Eleazar left the man of Sodom with the judge, and he went away. So if y'all get a chance, y'all can read further into Jasher to get more of the story, more of their wickedness, because it did continue. But I'm gonna jump to Ezekiel 16. And what it's talking about, the title in the ESV says Yahuwah's faithless bride. And what it does, it talks about how wicked Israel was, because this is part of the judgments. When he's pronouncing judgment. I'm in 46. I'm sorry, 16. And I want to read it in context.
It really goes all the way to the first verse.
It do. And if y'all want to read it from there, y'all can. But I just wanted to get to what I was talking about, particularly about Sodom. But Brenda definitely right. If y'all get a chance, go back and read this. I'm going to start at 14. I'm sorry, 44.
44.
Okay. Behold, everyone who uses proverbs will use this proverb about you, like mother, like daughter. You are the daughter of your mother, who loathe her husband and her children. And you are the sister of your sisters, who loathe their husbands and their children. Now, when he's speaking about, he's talking to Israel. He's talking about the nation of Israel. We know that the Most High looks at Israel like a woman in some instances, in some other instances, like a son. In this particular instance, it's the woman, because he's talking about how he married us, how he took that covenant with us, and now we're attached to him in a relationship. But he's saying that we not acting righteous to him. We acting like a woman who had her husband and her children. So he goes on to further say who their mother is. Your mother was a Hittite and your father an Amorite. And your elder sister is Samaria, who lived with her daughters to the north of you. And your younger sister, your younger sister who lived to the south of you is Sodom and her daughters. So all he's doing is talking about the surrounding nations. These are all the nations that was around Israel. And he just going along with the ideology of Israel being a woman, calling the surrounding nations women too. Not only did you walk in their ways and do according to their abominations, within a very little time, you were more corrupt than they in all your ways. So remember, he told us to refrain from the nation, their traditions, the way they worship and things like that. He said, not only did you do it, but you became worse in how we conducted ourselves. 48 says, as I live, declare Yahuwah Elohim, your sister Sodom and her daughters have not done as you and your daughters have done. Behold, this was the guilt of your sister Sodom. She and her daughters had pride, excess food, and prosperous ease, but did not aid the needy, the poor and the needy. They were haughty and did an abomination before me, so I removed them when I saw them. Samaria has not committed half your sins. You have committed more abominations than they, and have made your sisters appear righteous by all the abominations you have committed. Bear your disgrace, you also, for you have intervened on behalf of your sisters. Because of your sins, in which you acted more abominably than they are more in the right than you. So be ashamed, you also, and bear your disgrace, for you have made your sisters appear righteous. I'm gonna break off right there. I do suggest that y'all read through it. Just go ahead.
I have a question.
Go ahead.
In scripture talks about two sisters. And I'm wondering if these are
Brent, you gotta you break it up.
I'm not sure
Break it up.
if it's out of the book of Ezekiel.
Can you hear me now? I can hear you. Can you say it again? Know what you're saying? You have broke up.
Okay. I'm not sure which scripture it is. I'm almost sure it's probably Ezekiel, where they talk about the two sisters further, and they call their name a hope. I forgot the names, but I know one of them. But maybe both of them starts with an M. But he talks about how one sister is worse than the other, and asks, did you see what your sister did? And basically, you're doing the same thing, but you're doing it. You've gotten worse. It may be the book of Ezekiel.
And what was you saying about that in particular, though?
He was talking about two sisters.
Okay.
And I kind of think it's...
What's the question? No, you said you had a question.
Well, not the question. Well, yeah, it is. The question is, I wonder if these are the two sisters that he's speaking of in this case.
It could be. I was trying to find, just try to see if I could find something.
Seems like it is Ezekiel because they're talking about it here.
Well, look, that's your assignment, brother.
Huh?
Michael, who was saying something? Okay, Brenda, if you can find that, though, you can just share in the group chat and we can go from there. But you can read, anybody can read further in here to get more context. What I wanted to show is, first off, I wanted to show how we was always taught how wicked that Sodom and Gomorrah was, how they was when we think about wickedness, we always talk about Sodom and Gomorrah. And the way we do it is a deflection, because the Most High let them know right there that whatever Samaria, Sodom and Gomorrah, all the people y'all follow, whatever they was doing, what you doing is way worse. Anybody know why he would say that?
Because they didn't have a covenant with him?
Bingo. So we can sit here all the time and complain about what's going on all over the world, what's going on in America, how they mistreating. That pales in comparison for Yahuwah with his own people not obeying him. So it was just two lessons that could be taught like this. One, to just refute that Sodom and Gomorrah just got destroyed because they had pride parades. They was just super wicked and disrespectful to strangers. And all that stuff that we seen that was wicked, the stretching people, the robbing people, and they killing people, things like that, we can say that's wicked. But when we self-reflect and we look at ourselves and we see how we sin against Yahuwah, and we like, man, we way worse than them, because that's how I see it. Y'all understand that? Mm-hmm. And that was just to touch upon what we had talked about in the group chat. What I want to talk about today, we definitely in Mark 8. Mark 8 is going to be a breeze. far as we went over, anybody have any questions, anything we went over? Okay, that's cool. That's cool. Y'all gonna have me out here bragging, talk about I know everything. I'll go in here. We be one. I'll just say one time. I look around and stuff. Everybody like, we got it. And I'm like, I'm nailing it. Let me see. We in Mark 8. Are y'all there, or do I need some time? Y'all cool?
Yeah. Got it.
Okay. When we kick off, it's just I remember when we talked about him feeding 5,000, him being Yahushua.
Mm-hmm.
So a lot of people use conjecture and say that the scriptures, we already talked to somebody that say that the scriptures contradict itself. This is one of the things they go to. They say he fed 4,000, then they say, oh, it said 5,000. It's been explained two ways, that maybe it was just a lot of people and then they just put two separate numbers on it. Or maybe he did it two different times, fed a lot of people two different times. I lean to the idea that it's just a story being retold with a different number. We know that 5,000 and 4,000 in context is a lot of people that are being fed from a little bit of food. So when people scrutinize things like this, what they're doing, they just trying to find something wrong with the scriptures, don't fall in them kind of arguments, because the concept or what the story is trying to relay is the same thing, how he took a little bit and helped a lot of people. You understand that?
Yes.
So I'm going to go ahead and read the first verse. It says, in those days when again a great crowd had gathered and they had nothing to eat, he called his disciples to him and he said to them, I have compassion on the crowd because they have been with me now for 3 days and have nothing to eat. And if I send them away hungry to their homes, they will faint on their way, and some of them have come from far away. And the disciples answered him and said, how can we feed these people with bread in this desolate place? This outcome, I believe, is just retelling the original story. Because I'll see you feed them the first time, I'm gonna be like, hey, hurry, go get that crumb. Watch what he can do. But watch this, watch what he can do with this crumb. I told you he's gonna feed everybody, do it again. That's how I will respond the second time. The second time, my confidence is absolutely higher. It says that he asked them, how many loaves do you have? They said 7. And he directed the crowd to sit down on the ground. And he took the 7 loaves and he gave thanks. And having given thanks, he broke them and gave them to the disciples to set before the people. And they set them before the crowd. And they had a few small fish. And having blessed them, he said that these also should be set before them. And they ate and were satisfied, and they took up broken pieces left over, 7 baskets full. And there were about 4,000 people. And he sent them away and immediately got into the boat with his disciples and went to the district of Dalmanutha. So again, he blessing them, he walked with them, he's showing all kinds of miracles, doing things they had never seen. The Pharisees came and began to argue with him, seeking from him a sign from heaven to test him. And he sighed deeply in his spirit and said, why does this generation seek a sign? Truly, I say to you, no sign will be given to this generation. And he left them and got up again and went to the other side. This the part that we got to mature in sometimes. We got to be mature like the Messiah was in this particular instance. I myself have struggled with these things where I'm trying to prove something to people who don't even care what they ask me. People will ask you stuff just from their vanity to try to make you look silly, try to make you look incompetent. The Messiah, he could have did so much stuff right there to prove how powerful he was, how smart, how wise, and intelligent, how filled with the Ruach he was. But it wasn't beneficial. And the reason why is because they wasn't seeking signs righteously. They weren't seeking it to be like, oh man, you all right. Remember, he casting out spirits and demons and stuff. Do you remember what they called him?
A demon.
Demon. So it's some people who you can do good for and they still gonna talk about you because they don't have your best interests at heart. They only want to use you as much as they can use you. And once you're not moving how they want you to move, they ridicule you and they try to talk down on you. Him being infinitely wise, he was aware of this and an agitator. He just basically get away from me. Y'all never see nothing from me. Now they have forgotten to bring bread, and they had only one loaf with them on the boat. And he cautioned them, saying, watch out, beware of the leaven of the Pharisees and the leaven of Herod. And they began discussing with one another the fact that they had no bread. And Yahushua wearied and said to them, why are you discussing the fact that you have no bread? Do you not yet perceive, or understand? Are your hearts hardened? Having eyes, do you not see? And having ears, do you not hear? And do you not remember? When I broke the 5 loaves or the 5,000, how many baskets full of bread pieces did you take up? They said to him, 12. Then the 7 for the 4. Oh, so it was 2 separate instances. I don't understand what's wrong with me. And then 7 for the 4,000. How many baskets full of broken pieces did you take up? And he said to them, 7. And they said to him, 7. And he said to them, do you not yet understand? Do you understand what you're saying right there? First off, let me go back. There was 2 separate instances. I don't know how I ever missed this, but yeah, it was 2 separate instances.
He's letting us know that no matter how many people there is, he's got enough to feed them.
Gotcha.
What he's saying is, don't y'all have eyes to see and ears to hear? He said, y'all seen me working. You see me feed 5,000 and take some bread with us. You see me feed 4 and take some more. You're like, what are y'all not getting? What are y'all not understanding? Like, we see all the time how you will work. Like, when we feel like we getting blessings, we see it, we acknowledge it. But then we get on hard time. I say we because I'm guilty of this. We start being like, man, dang. And he, you know how I work. Why are you tripping? Do y'all see that? How? And them, they was more close. Like, they actually seen. They seen, man, we got 2 pieces. And then they didn't, it wasn't registered. And they came to Bethesda, did. I can't say that word. They came somewhere, and some people brought to him a blind man and begged him to touch him. And he took the blind man by the hand and led him out of the village. And he had spit on his eyes, and he laid his hand on him, and he said, do you see anything? Got to wash him like that windshield wiper. He spit on his hands and wiped his eyes and said, do you see anything? And he looked up and said, I see people, but they look like trees walking. So it's kind of blurry. It's that, y'all wake up and y'all got that blurry and y'all can't hardly walk. Y'all be like a horse that just came out of their mama butt. Or is that a deer where they be stumbling? Y'all get that stumbling feeling, y'all can't see that good, or when somebody wake you up and you can't focus. Then Yahushua laid his hand on his eyes again, and he opened his eyes. His sight was restored, and he saw everything clearly. And he sent him songs saying, do not enter the village. And Yahushua went with his disciples to the villages of Caesarea Philippi. And on the way, he asked his disciples, who do people say I am? And they told him, John the Baptist. The others say Elijah, and the other is one of the prophets. So he's like, man, who out there saying I am? So they come with they say you John, you Elijah, you may be Daniel, you may be Isaiah, you somebody. We don't know exactly, but you somebody. And he asked them, but who do you say that I am? And Peter said, you are the Messiah. And he strictly charged them to tell no one about this. Anybody know why he said don't tell nobody about this?
Was it because he knew that they were trying to kill him?
Who said that?
My mom did, but that's what I was gonna say.
What it was, he knew that would factor into it. It would expedite what he was doing. It would make it just push fast, and it would cause more fanfare. More people could see what it is. Remember this. It's not just that, because matter of fact, I would say it wasn't that at all. And the reason why I say that, because he's not fearful. Remember I said one of the things that we should always understand is that they was in captivity. They was in Roman captivity. Just like now, they was waiting for the kingdom to be reestablished. They was looking for a Messiah to come. We waiting for the second coming. They was just waiting for him to come. They didn't understand the prophecy fully. They thought that once the Messiah was revealed, that everything was going back to A1, we going to take over, we about to beat everybody. And that's not what was going to happen. So he didn't want to give them that false hope that this is what's going to happen. Don't go around here saying Messiah here, because when they hear Messiah, they thinking, oh, it's time to overthrow the government. Like right before the Messiah got here, just a few years, it was the Maccabean revolt, where Judas Maccabee and some of his friends and family tried to usurp the Roman government. They tried to destroy it. They gave up a fantastic fight, but they got demolished. And the reason why it wasn't time for the overthrow to happen. So he, knowing that we did have a fighting spirit, especially with the zealots, our people, we were some fighters. If they felt that green light said go, they was going. And it wasn't time for that. You understand that? So he didn't want a false hope to pop up. And calling the crowd, oh, no, I almost forgot something important. Verse 31, and he began to teach them that the Son of Man must suffer things and be rejected by the elders and the chief priests and the scribes and be killed, and after 3 days rise again. So the elders, the chief priests, and the scribes, these are all the people who had high standing, was important in the kingdom. And then he would arise. And he said this plainly. Like he just told them, I'm gonna get killed. They're gonna disrespect me, and I'm gonna get killed. Hold on, man. And Peter took him aside and began to rebuke him. What y'all think Peter was saying? If y'all just want to offer conjecture. Now, your leader, I'll just tell you, man, they're gonna go kill me. And they say he took him to the side and rebuked him.
Did he ask him why he didn't want him to tell him?
Man, what is
Knowing what I know about Peter, he probably was talking about fighting. We ain't gonna let that happen.
Who? We gonna go out here. What is you talking about? We ain't gonna let nobody kill you. We gonna tear this up. That's what you talking crazy. Ain't nobody gonna do. That's Peter.
Right.
It's just speculation, but you can imagine that's what he's saying. But turning and seeing his disciples, he rebuked Peter. Now this is like, if it's just me and you talking, I'm gonna let you talk. But if I look at everybody looking at me like, what y'all doing? Now he rebuked him. Get behind me, Satan. This right here, which should stand out. Have you ever heard this in the King James? Get thee behind me, Satan. Y'all heard this?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Heard people using it in context, whatever they saying.
Yes.
Anybody? Has everybody heard this before? I mean, not everybody, but
Yep.
Okay.
The what?
Yeah.
Birthday.
Yeah, I've heard it before.
What's yours?
Huh?
What's yours?
Yeah.
You ain't been here long enough to be around old people. They say when you be playing in front of TV, they just say it for no reason. You bring on the wrong cup of water, they talk to you, the devil. Some that. Why do y'all think he said that? Get behind me, Satan.
Because that word just means like enemy or like adversary.
Michael, I see you stayed at Holiday Inn last night, huh? You got your brain working, huh?
Man.
Yeah, I thought I was about to go through I thought I was gonna say because the devil was in him, because that's what we was taught in Christianity.
Yeah.
The devil entered him and stuff, and he was speaking straight to the devil. He wasn't speaking to Peter. Have y'all ever heard that?
Yep.
None of y'all heard that except Michael.
I haven't heard that saying no.
A bunch of preachers that they use that as their preaching point.
That is exactly what they do. So get behind me, Satan. That's not the word that was actually used. It would have been, well, Satan itself is not a proper name. Satan just means adversary.
Right.
So the reason why he's calling him an adversary, because he's being adverse to what he's trying to convey. He's like, I'm saying this, and so he's going against it. So he's saying, get behind me, adversary, or you trying to stop me. Mm-hmm. He's not calling him a devil or anything like that. He just stop blocking what I'm saying. And he follows it up with, for you are not setting your mind on the things of Elohim, but on the things of man. So he's saying, stop trying to stop what the Most High done already ordained. You worried about what you want to be worried about. And I'm telling you what my father said. So now would that make more sense to y'all when he said, get behind me like Satan, but or get gone, get away. You trying to stop what gotta happen. That's what he telling you.
Right.
And calling the crowd to him with his disciples, he said to them, if anyone will come after me, let him deny himself and take up his, and it says cross, but this is storos. But for the sake of this English, take up his cross and follow me. For whoever would save his life will lose his life. But whoever loses his life for my sake and the good news will be saved. For what does it profit a man to gain the whole world and forfeit his soul? For what can a man give in return for his soul? For whosoever is ashamed of me and of my word in this adulterous and sinful generation, of him will the Son of Man be ashamed when he comes into the esteem of his Father and the holy angels. So at this particular point, he was talking to his disciples and everybody around. He gathered them around and he said, if you're going to come after me, you got to come. You have to deny yourself. This is what it is when we say we're going to be with Yahuwah. If we're going to be with Yahuwah, if we choose to follow him, we got to forsake everything else. Anything that would impede us following him wholly, we have to forsake it. If you save your life, you're going to lose it. Do that make sense to anybody?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. When he say you save your life, you're going to lose it. I mean, if you put too much value on these things here, you're going to lose it.
Lose it.
But whoever loses life for my sake and the good news, you're going to save it. So it's always redemption at some point. For what can a man give in return for his soul? Like if you give up your soul, there's nothing that you can get back for it. Nothing giving up your whole soul for this system is foolish because everything here is temporal and it's marked for destruction. For whoever is ashamed of me and of my word in this adulterous and sinful generation, of him will the Son of Man also be ashamed. He said this centuries ago, but it applies to today. Anybody who's ashamed, who won't represent him, who won't go against the world, who won't fight the nations, and I'm not saying go out there fist fighting, but who won't stand their ground for Yahuwah. That's how he gonna be. When you go before the Father and he got to vouch, he ain't gonna vouch for you. If you don't vouch for him, he's not gonna vouch for you. And this is another thing that's a good shot at Christianity. He said, for whoever's ashamed of me and my word, the Son of Man is going to be ashamed of him when it comes time to go before the Father. When I said shot at Christianity, he said that there's going to be separate things. It's him, his Father, and his angels. For people who say that, quote unquote, Jesus and God, the same person. Anybody got any questions on anything we went through?
Nope.
I do.
Go ahead. What's up?
Exactly. Hold on. Where exactly was Sodom and Gomorrah? What town, what city, what nation, where? Was it part of, was it?
Those are the names.
Huh?
Them the names. Those was the towns. You talking about modern?
Yeah.
I'm not sure. Let me see if I can find a map. I'm definitely not sure.
Atlanta. I'm just playing.
Perhaps.
Detroit.
Perhaps.
But because why were there Israelites there?
It's Israelites everywhere. It was like we was in Egypt. They just moved out to other places.
I know, but that's, yeah, I know that.
Hold on, digressing. There weren't any Israelites there.
They had a lot in there, didn't they?
There was a lot of Israelites.
Sure wasn't, because they came from, Israelites came from.
Abraham, Isaac, Jacob.
Look at my mama.
Abraham and Isaac, or even Jacob weren't Israelites. The Israelites is the 12 tribes. Does that make sense?
It's just like everybody get misconstrued in America between nationality and like your background.
Definitely. Cause Brenda, she still got a curious face. Listen,
I just want to know where they were.
it was in the Levant. It was in the region up there by Moab and by all that stuff. Remember, at this particular time, it wasn't even the land of Israel. It was Canaan. That's what Israel was back then. But remember, Israelites aren't, all Hebrews aren't Israelites, but all Israelites are Hebrew. Lot was a Hebrew. Abraham was Hebrew. Neither one of them were Israelites. Israelites are the descendants of Israel. Remember, he changed from Jacob to Israel. His descendants are the Israelites. So anything before them wasn't Israelites. Anybody, do you understand that though?
Yeah.
But all of them was in that particular region, somewhere up in the Levant. That's what that area is called. I tried to find it, but yeah, I wish I'd have. Anyway, but we can go back and read Ezekiel 16. It talk about even the fortress of Sodom gonna be restored though. Like even they're gonna be restored. Well, I guess we go ahead and pray. God, it's fantastic knowledge from my immaculate self. Hallelujah. Thank you again, Father, for allowing us to come here to get some wisdom, understanding your word. Thank you for letting everybody join in on this study. It's always a privilege and an honor to be here before you. You almighty and nothing compares to you. We thankful to be part of the nation that you chose, and you chose us not because we did anything that we special, but because you saw something in us that made you want to select us. We thank you for the covenant you made with our ancestors. We thank you for your righteous judgments and your righteous restoration that's coming. All these things we ask your son, Yahusha, our King and our High Priest name. Hallelujah. Amen.
I mean,
Michael, was good to have you back in here, man. Listen, they was in here, they was telling me and stuff that In Vogue was better than Boys to Men and all kinds of stuff. I had no male help. They always beat me. They beat the mess out of me. They said that Nicki Minaj was better than Tupac. My heart was in your
Oh my God.
It was killing me. It was killing me. They said Shirley Caesar can beat up John P. Key. I didn't understand that argument, but I felt like John P. Key could fight. No, it's good that you back here, Mike, man. And again, congratulations on your son.
Appreciate you.
But and again, shout out to